Most people think discipline fails because they're lazy. That belief is wrong, and it keeps you stuck. Discipline feels hard because you're fighting your own brain, not your habits, not your motivation. Your mind is designed to avoid discomfort, even when discomfort leads to growth. That's why you quit routines that actually work, not because they're difficult, but because they're boring. Once you understand this, discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling automatic. Discipline feels hard not because you are weak, not because you are lazy, and not because something is wrong with you, but because discipline is asking you to become someone you have never been before. And the human mind resists change more than it fears failure. You see, motivation is emotional, but discipline is structural. Motivation shows up when you feel good. Discipline shows up when you don't. That's why discipline feels heavy. That's why it feels lonely. And that's why most people quit. Not because the goal is impossible, but because the process is uncomfortable. Every time you decide to wake up early, your brain is fighting years of conditioning that says comfort comes first. Every time you say no to distractions, your mind screams that you're missing out. But what it's really afraid of is growth. People confuse discipline with punishment. They think discipline means suffering, forcing, grinding until you break. That's not discipline, that's self-betrayal. Real discipline is self-respect in action. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. And that choice is painful because your brain is wired for survival, not success. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about keeping things familiar. Familiar feels safe, even when familiar is broken. That's why staying stuck feels easier than changing. That's why scrolling feels easier than studying. That's why excuses feel more comfortable than effort. Not because you're lazy, but because your mind is doing what it was trained to do. Discipline feels hard because it exposes your excuses. It strips away the stories you tell yourself about why you can't do it. And when those stories disappear, you're left with responsibility. Responsibility is heavy. Responsibility means no one else is to blame. No more waiting for the right time. No more waiting for motivation. Just action. And action without guarantees is terrifying. Because discipline asks you to work without applause, to show up when nobody is watching, to believe before there's proof. That kind of faith is rare. That's why disciplined people stand out. Not because they're special, but because they stayed when everyone else quit. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Discipline feels hard because it's changing your identity. You're not just building habits, you're breaking old versions of yourself. And the old version doesn't go quietly. It fights back with doubt, fear, and fatigue. It whispers, you can start tomorrow. It says one day off won't hurt. It tells you you've already failed before, so why try again? Discipline is learning to hear that voice and move anyway, not angrily, not emotionally, calmly, consistently. Because consistency is louder than talent. Discipline also feels hard because it delays reward. We live in a world of instant results, instant entertainment, instant validation. Discipline gives you nothing up front. No likes, no praise, no quick win, just effort. And that's why so many people stop. They want results before the work is finished. But discipline teaches patience. It teaches you to trust the process even when the process feels slow. It teaches you to keep going when progress is invisible. And that's where transformation actually happens, in the invisible moments. If discipline feels hard right now, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign it's working. It means you're stepping outside who you were and into who you're becoming. Comfort will always pull you backward. Discipline will always push you forward. And the direction you choose today will decide the life you live tomorrow. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed. And commitment, real commitment, has never been easy. Discipline becomes even harder when life starts pushing back. Because resistance is the price of progress. The moment you decide to take control of your time, your habits, your future, something will test you. Fatigue shows up, doubt gets louder, people around you start questioning your change. Not because they hate you, but because your growth reminds them of what they've avoided. And when discipline is new, everything feels amplified. The early mornings feel colder, the effort feels heavier, the silence feels louder. But this stage is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the moment where discipline stops being an idea and starts becoming a lifestyle. Most people quit discipline at the discomfort stage. They mistake struggle for failure. But struggle is actually confirmation that you're on the right path. If discipline felt easy, everyone would have the life they dream about. But discipline asks for consistency when results are delayed, and that's where character is built. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect. Discipline shows up when conditions are unfair, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you feel unmotivated. And that's the difference between those who talk about change and those who embody it. Discipline also forces you to confront yourself honestly. You can't hide behind talent. You can't hide behind luck. You can't blame circumstances forever. Discipline holds up a mirror and asks a simple question: how bad do you want it? Not when you're inspired, but when you're exhausted. Not when it's convenient, but when it costs you comfort. And that question can be uncomfortable because the answer requires sacrifice. Discipline demands that you let go of habits that no longer serve you, even if they once helped you survive. Growth requires you to release the old coping mechanisms that kept you small. Another reason discipline feels heavy is because it isolates you before it elevates you. When you choose discipline, your schedule changes, your priorities change, your conversations change, and suddenly you don't fit where you used to. That loneliness isn't rejection, it's transition. You're between versions of yourself. The old environment no longer feeds you, and the new one hasn't fully formed yet. Discipline asks you to stand alone in that gap, to keep going without validation, to trust that the isolation is temporary but the results are permanent. Discipline is not about intensity, it's about reliability. People burn out because they try to do everything at once. True discipline is quieter. It's showing up daily in small ways. It's choosing consistency over drama. It's understanding that greatness built in ordinary moments repeated relentlessly. And that repetition is boring. That's why it's powerful. Because boredom filters out the undisciplined. When you learn to stay focused without excitement, you gain an edge that can't be taught. The truth is, discipline doesn't remove struggle. It gives struggle meaning. It turns pain into progress. It turns effort into identity. Over time, what once felt forced becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes routine. And one day, you look back and realize the discipline you once resisted is the same discipline that freed you from regret, freed you from excuses, freed you from the cycle of starting and quitting. Discipline didn't just change what you do, it changed who you are. And that transformation always begins in the moments you choose to continue when stopping feels easier. Discipline stops feeling hard the moment you stop negotiating with yourself. Most people lose not because they lack ability, but because they argue with their own decisions every single day. They wake up knowing what they should do, then spend hours convincing themselves why they shouldn't. Discipline is deciding once and removing debate. When the alarm goes off, you move. When the work shows up, you begin. No emotional discussion. No waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Action creates readiness. And the more you act without hesitation, the quieter resistance becomes. What people don't realize is that discipline builds confidence faster than success ever could. Confidence doesn't come from winning. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's uncomfortable, you reinforce trust within yourself. That internal trust becomes strength. And strength changes how you walk, how you speak, how you show up in the world. Discipline reshapes your self-image. You stop seeing yours as someone who tries, and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. Discipline also teaches emotional control. Life will never stop throwing pressure at you. Stress, criticism, disappointment, they're unavoidable. But discipline trains you to respond instead of react. To stay grounded when emotions rise. To keep moving forward without being ruled by moods. That emotional mastery is what separates leaders from followers. Anyone can perform when they feel good. Disciplined people perform regardless of how they feel. And that reliability makes you dangerous in the best way. Over time, discipline simplifies your life. Less chaos, less regret, less wasted energy. You stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. And momentum is powerful. Because once it starts, it carries you even on days when you feel empty. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates freedom. Freedom creates peace. That's the progression nobody talks about. Discipline isn't a cage, it's a key. It unlocks the life you keep saying you want, but haven't yet committed to earning. You won't always enjoy discipline, but you will always respect what it gives you. The pride of knowing you didn't quit. The peace of knowing you gave your best. The clarity of knowing your future isn't being decided by impulse, but by intention. Discipline won't make you perfect. It will make you dependable. And in a world full of distractions, being dependable is a superpower. So if discipline feels hard, don't run from it. Lean into it. Hard doesn't mean wrong. Hard means you're doing something that matters. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Stay committed. Because the version of you that discipline is building, the focused, grounded, unstoppable version, that person is worth every uncomfortable moment it takes to get there. If this message resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell notification so you never miss our next powerful, motivational video. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and we'll see you in the next one.